What's going on, family? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Chip Off the Old Block, the Chip Off the Old Block podcast. I'm your host, CJ Matthews, here with the notorious
Dr. CJ Matthews the first. We're in the house again today.
Hey, feel good to be here today. How you feel today, Dad?
I feel pretty good. Old dude's making a comeback.
Old dude's making a comeback.
I'm like, shoot, man. I just couldn't figure out who I could call to fight, though.
All right, that's a perfect place to start, man. So obviously, you got a chance to tune in this past weekend to Mike Tyson and all of that. I think it was a great overall event. What's your impression? What's your takeaways from it?
Oh yeah, you know, I've been buying fights for however long they've been selling them, and I be asleep.
Man,
I stayed awake.
Yeah, me too. That was the thing. Like, I remember when I was a kid, you know, I'm little, y'all, by the Mike Tyson fight. It come on at 9, but he don't come on at 9. You know, the 3 undercards or however many come on. By the time he fight, I'm asleep. I wake up in the morning like, what happened?
I was probably asleep too.
But then, you know, that was the thing back in the day. You pay what, $50, $75 back in the 90s, and then it's over with. And like,
yeah, it was crazy. You know, your Uncle Raymond, even back further, John, and you know, all my boys. We get to fight, and everybody get to fight. But it was you know, the rappers. It was entertaining, you know, and they was smoking that stuff too. I'm like, where they at? Oh, they in L.A.
There's in Cali.
I was like, go ahead.
We're going to get back into that. I think from an overall production standpoint and event, you know, it was really good. And, you know, it's kind of in line with just kind of everything that's been going on in 2020. Everybody having to reimagine, rethink, and kind of, you know, take a different approach to how they want to deliver content, you know, given coronavirus, obviously. You know, there were no people in the building other than everyone who's specifically involved with the fights and the performances. But I thought the performances were good. Snoop did his thing.
Oh, yeah.
I think he, as from the commentating standpoint, he was the highlight.
He added the stuff, you know, which made it good. And you know, again, and Mike Tyson said it at the end, you know, it wasn't about winning and losing. It was about a bigger purpose.
Right.
You know, and fighting is his life, and that's what he loves to do. And so to be able to do it, and plus some of the proceeds maybe to help somebody and providing entertainment, you know. They were real sober in their comments. I really enjoyed it. It was, like I said, I watched the whole thing, you know, listened to the rappers and stuff, so it was good. I enjoyed it, and I don't mind saying I enjoyed it. And vintage Snoop made it. You know, Sugar Ray. You know, from my era, he was always one of the heroes. You know, and so it was good. It was good.
Yeah. Speaking of the fight, particularly Mike Tyson and Roy Jones, man, you know, to be that age and to look that good, that's incredible.
That was incredible. That was incredible. Yeah, it was, you know, because Roy Jones said it right. Are you worried? He said, man, come on. He done put me in this little bitty ring in this cage. Are you kidding me? Because, you know, Roy is a move stick. You know, he used the whole ring, you know. And so, and he did a little of that, you know. And it was just good to see that because, you know, those images are still in my mind because I saw all the fights.
Right.
Well, I think I saw them. I was either asleep or I saw them. And so it was good. And then plus I had an opportunity to meet both of them, you know, so that was good too because I did have an opportunity to meet both of them while they were in their heyday.
Yeah, man, they look good.
Yeah, they look good, and again, it proves, you know, Mike lost 100 pounds.
Yeah,
you know, if you work out, no matter what age you are, if you grind, if you stay at it, and you know, and what I've learned, you know, and I fall on and off. I wish I was your mama. She don't never fall off, but that's another subject. But it shows. It doesn't matter how old you are. If you put that work in, it pays off. 67 is not the new 30. That's a lie. But if you put the work in, and I feel so much better. My legs. I always say, when I'm talking to people about working out, I much rather have gym aches than old people aches.
Yeah, 100%. And even beyond that, it kind of reflects the power of purpose. Obviously not to say that Mike Tyson didn't have anything going on, because he has a lot of things going on, business wise and everything like that. But just having that to look forward to, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, he said this is his life. When you have something that you're involved with, when you have something that you're so engaged with, that you're so passionate about, it just lights you up. It brings something different, right, to your life, and you could clearly see it.
And champions are champions. Everybody doesn't rise to that level of championship or becoming a champion in the specific thing that they do.
Right.
And both those men were champions, and you had the commentators were champions.
Yeah, champion.
And Snoop sewn up as a champion at a few things. So all of those things were displayed there. But as you stated, putting that work in, you just can't get away from it. And its value in whatever area, which is why I've been confident at some point the scientists and the medical people would figure out a vaccine and some other things as we continue to live with this virus and the spiking and all the things that's going on. Is because the people who go after things at a championship level, they just do it differently.
Yeah, 100%. Championship level. A couple of the other fights, those were also at a championship level. Unfortunately, there was another fight that was a little less.
Let me stand. Wow, nothing funny about what's happening with Nate Robinson, but Snoop Dogg is singing the hymns. He's trying to get started. Mamma mia, the problem child.
Well, Nate, great basketball player.
Great athlete. He was working out with some of the pro NFL teams. He has some intangibles that are just undeniable. Because he's shorter than me, and he's won the dunk contest multiple times. Although one of those times I felt like that was kind of fluke, but you can't take that away.
Well, the thing is and Snoop said it well when he first came out. We could tell that he was not prepared as a boxer. He may have been prepared physically, but his aggression was good, but he wasn't Mike Tyson. That was a Mike Tyson type of early aggression, and so it was. Again, man, this social media is rough.
Oh my goodness!
The next day, I'm looking at all the folk lying on the floor taking pictures as if they knocked out.
Yeah.
I'm like, see, folk. This is like the fight. I guess I don't know what time it was. It was late. And then next thing you know, you turn on the thing and it's like all these people. I'm like, oh no, they're mimicking. I'm a little slow sometimes on some of that stuff. And then all day the next day it was. The entertainment went on and on and on for some people.
Yeah.
And he's not. I'm sure he'll be okay.
No, he's fine. He's made a statement. He's come out and made a statement. But there's a reason why they say the internet is undefeated, because they're relentless and the creativity is ongoing. It's instantaneous. It's just it's relentless. Obviously it's hard to take that. Like, man, just to take that onslaught.
Oh well,
but you put yourself out there.
If you're insecure, you should get off Twitter.
Actually, we wasn't about to get into that, but this brings up a good point that I want to get your thoughts on, because a lot of things happen, and let's take it away from just the whole world on the internet, but let's bring it to the church specifically. So a lot of things happen. A lot of people get into different things. But the chastisement on the internet from the church is next level too. And, there's been some recent things going on. I'm not going to bring up any names specifically, but there's been some scandals, if you will, over the past week or so. And that's been a real thing. And it's like, it's tough to face that. And some people are dealing with real life issues. And then, you know, the whole world seemingly, and it's not the whole world, but I'm sure it can feel like that. And it's like, in some instances, those are the type of things that even push people as far as, you know, suicide and things like that. And I don't know, what do you think?
Right. Well, I mean, unfortunately, the church, and I try to separate, and I heard Dr. Alan Waller, native Clevelander, but had pastors a significant church up in Philadelphia on multiple campuses, just tremendous man of God. And he said something, spoke at our banquet a couple years ago and said that, you know, there's the church that Jesus died for. Then there's the church that he loves.
Right. and yeah, that's a great point, because in this recent thing, someone said, let's talk about kingdom culture.
Right.
And I'm like, well, no, you're missing it. That's not kingdom culture. That's something else.
Yes.
Kingdom culture is different from that. So I think that's the same point. Like, there's a church that Jesus died for. Then there's this.
Yeah. And I call it American Christianity.
Right.
I call it conservative Christianity. Biblical values, all of those man-made terms are not the church that Christ died for.
Right.
We know that for a fact. But because he loves us, he chose to bring it through us.
Yeah.
And there's times when we are so harsh and judgmental, the witness of Christ cannot be experienced by people who need it.
Right. And then here's my question, because a lot of people's excuse would be, well, you know, we're called to hold each other accountable, but there's a thin line between accountability and judgment, accountability and bashing, accountability and just, you know, I don't know where do we, what is the responsibility?
It's no different than liberal and conservative. Everybody has their view. Okay. And they're going to fight for it.
Facts.
And that has become denominations, that has become doctrines, that has become biblical teachings. And I certainly don't stand as if I'm on an island with all the truth.
Yeah.
But I do believe that those of us who seek the truth, we back away from the man-made arguments.
What you mean?
And as the kingdom, I believe, is your generation's inheritance from all of what we have done and undone, will consistently be revealed. And that was once strongholds made by American Christianity, conservative Christianity, liberal Christianity, denominational Christianity, which however you want to identify with it, is going to slowly begin to become the lesser, and the kingdom is going to become the greater, because I think at the time of the coming of Christ, you will see a great falling away, and you will see a bride who is ready for her groom to receive her. So I'm excited about your future, the future of young men and women of God. Those of us who have been called to stand in the gap with you, not for you, but with you. God leaves Moses a season with Joshua. Portion of that season, Moses is in leadership. And then when Moses moves off the scene, Joshua immediately inherits the responsibility. And I think that's happening in our city, at least now. It's going to happen in the body of Christ. It happens every generation. And it's interesting because I think that even as your mission and ministry and organization, Kingdom, I just think that's where it is. I was looking at some stuff from the 90s because I didn't come out of the church. Mm-hmm. And the kingdom was always the thing for me. But early on, I didn't have the theology for it. Yeah. I had the rhetoric to some degree, but I had to go through these theological things, these quests, studying all these different things, black Islam. I had to study so much stuff to come to the point where, okay, now I have a framework, I have a theology, I have a philosophy. I can build a ministry now based on kingdom principles as I understand it.
Right.
And a lot that's hard because you're going to always be an outcast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so I kind of identify. I used to think I identified with Paul, and then it became more like John the Baptist.
Yeah.
And so and then I learned about Phinehas, or I learned about African presence in Scripture.
Mm-hmm.
And so the beauty of Christianity is a journey. The unfortunate thing is it comes through us.
Yeah, and that's been my response to certain people, like, yeah, because certain criticisms, it's like, well, yeah, but we're involved. Once we're involved,
Well, the people who separate themselves in a way that absolves them of everything because they are the holiest, the most truthful, the whatever, I look at them and I say, yeah.
Well, no one needs Christ less than anyone else or more than anyone else. So
nobody has any more of him than anybody else.
There we go.
Oh man, I don't want to go there.
Yeah, no, I got something because you just mentioned it, and I was thinking about it the other day. It was there was an example that I just recently saw because you kind of spoke to this whole sort of bridging of the gap between the generations, and I want to see what you got to say about that. But what I saw an example, and it had nothing to do with ministry or church or anything like that. It was rap music, because I was actually watching T.I.'s podcast, and he has some artists on there. He had a bunch of different artists on there, and there's an artist, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, by the name of Young Thug.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you never know. No, so he's from Atlanta, and he does a lot of things outside of the box, I'll say. But T.I. was basically asking him about Andre 3000, who is a historically great, like he is top tier, lyrics. There's not many artists who are lyrically better than him and who have had the impact and that whole sort of a thing. But T.I.'s point was like, well, it would seem like he would be one of your influences. And based on Young Thug's response, there was a thing there. And maybe even if it's only in his mind, there's something between them, even though it seems publicly like Andre 3000 has come out and not in support of many. He's like one of those reclusive types, so you don't really hear him say nothing, but he's come out in support of him. But it seems like there would be some influence just based on certain things. But my question, though, as it relates to that sort of thing is like, in that, as a younger person, you can feel like the people before you are supposed to, like, I don't know, whose responsibility is it to open the line of communication? Because in leadership books, I've studied leadership in school and stuff, they say the onus of that falls on the leader. Now, naturally, you would think that the leader would be the older person, so the burden is on them to open the line of communication. But there's a lot to it. It's a lot.
Yeah. I developed a concept years ago, and I never wrote it, but it was what I always aspired to be.
Okay.
Was a mature leader.
Right.
Okay. And the mature leader, and I've only met a few of those people in my life.
Mm.
Only a few.
Mm.
Only a few.
I hear you.
And it's certainly not me.
Okay.
It's not me.
You don't think?
Well, the moment you think you are, that's the thing that makes you flunk.
That's what disqualifies you. Yeah.
Now, in my little definition, remember, this is all C.J. Matthews' construct. Okay?
Gotcha.
So it's not out in the public. No one knows. But I just have always had the privilege of sitting with so many people. We're honoring Mother Rosa Parks.
Right.
For 65 years.
65 years. December 1st, 1955 was the day that she said,
I had the privilege of sitting with her.
Right.
And So having had the privilege to sit, I'm talking about with some phenomenal people over the last 40 years was, and being just a person in the room, and so when I come around certain circles and people are leaders, they are leaders because they have a following, okay? But today you can have a following 10, 15, 20, 100 million.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't call you a leader, but you are a leader by Maxwell's definition.
Well, you have influence.
Yeah, okay. To me, leaders are transformational, transactional people.
So it's not. So you're saying it's not about the age?
Not at all. And the mature leader will always look to empower the younger leaders, and that's been my experience. I know a lot of people don't have the experience I had.
Yeah.
And maybe that was just God's grace on my life, being born in the family I was born into, then born into the church I was born into. I've only been embraced. I've never had the generational divide. I've never had the generational issues. I was embraced immediately by the entire greater Cleveland regional leadership groups at the time I came along as a young pastor. And so I never had that kind of underpinning in my spirit or in my mind. But I know a lot of people who do, and I know this generational thing is real, but it's the most senseless thing that exists in our community.
Yeah.
I would hope that our podcast, and I know you're my son, and so they would try to say that's why. But I would hope that our podcast and the way we do ministry together, and we're not the only ones. I mean, Dr. Macon and his son, Dr. Owens and his son, Pastor Jeff Dennis and his son, Pastor Kyle, even though Kyle is here with us also. I mean, there's just so many today. But we are father and son, and Kyle became a part of our sonship through ministry. But I just think we're becoming examples that will challenge this generational challenge, because right now we need all hands on deck.
All hands on deck.
I mean, the African American community, and I mean, at least for once, let's take the pandemic off the table. I know we can't, but let's take it off the table. America is in as much trouble as the black community right now. So they all start picking on us.
Yeah.
They're one bullet away from anarchy and whatever, all this crazy stuff they're talking. So it's an unusual time, and it's a great time for us.
Yeah. So and maybe it's bigger than that. Maybe that's one extension of it. And I don't want to put this on there. I'm just giving my observation. I can only speak from my point of view. Maybe it isn't generational. Maybe it speaks to a larger thing that exists. And I don't want to put this on anybody, but maybe you can speak to us, because maybe it's not even generational. Maybe it seems like there's and it's human nature, just like the cliquish nature, the territorial, that whole thing. And maybe, within a clique or whatever, it's not about age or it's not about anything else. But in my group, our group, y'all do this, y'all do that. But it's like we're supposed to be the body of Christ. We're supposed to be pastors, men, women of God. And I don't know. You. It's maybe I need to call somebody. We need our first phone call, because you are unique in that sense where for whatever reason it's just you go beyond all of that. But I know you know it. I know you sense it. I know you see it. I know you know what I'm talking about.
Well, okay, I just and I love my profession, and I'm in the throng of whatever it is. I know certain pastors want to think they're above or they're out. Y'all all in it. We all in it. When they say them old preachers, they talking about all us. Or those no good. Yeah, I mean,
even beyond that. So like coming up, it's like I'm sure there was like a thing, but you had your peer group, and it wasn't that you wasn't with anybody else, but maybe they were turned off or this or that.
It's still my same peer group as Harris Made in Macon. I mean, we were our peer group. We were intentionally. Harris and I was more natural because Harris and Larry went to school together. I was their little understudy, on the football team.
Okay.
I came behind them, and so that was natural. We were families since school, and then Maiden through his work was just making such powerful inroads in the community as far as getting people saved. It just amazed me, and I wanted to meet him. And Harris knew him, and I got to meet him. And Macon, I met him through his wife. She and I went to school together, and at the time we met was when my brother had just passed a few months earlier, and so we became close. And then I had my non-pastoral peer group, which is still my friends to this day. Your Uncle Raymond and John and Mike passed, but Myron. So being from Cleveland always made it easy for me as far as peer groups, because I've been with the same people. Some since all the way back to school, and others since starting in ministry. So that was never an issue. And then we broadened our circle organizationally. We broadened our circle intentionally by seeking out mentors. The onus was on us when we came along. We sought those relationships. It's not like that now, which is why I try to reach out to younger pastors. I'm not as good as I'd like to be. Because the potential is so great today. Mm-hmm. We have so much to share and learn from each other. I mean, as you were teaching me all this stuff we doing. So it's just, it's a great time to be in ministry. It's a great time to be alive. It's a great time to have creative ability and ideas. I mean, today you don't necessarily be great, and we're going to have this discussion, to have a venture capitalist, but today if you don't, you launch that idea and get it out here, you don't know what might happen.
Right. Yeah.
You can launch that company. I was listening to urban radio today, and a young lady had some issues with lipstick, and so she created her own lipstick that's vegan friendly, and it's more sensitive to African American females, and it's pretty powerful.
Wow. Yeah, I just thought that was interesting. So y'all took it upon yourself, like, no.
Yeah, we it was it was natural. All of us they were all pastoring before me. Mm-hmm. And then I became the pastor of Mount Sinai. I was more like, I would go and preach for Macon when he wanted to go on vacation. I went out and did evangelism with his evangelism team and things like that. And so it was fairly natural in a sense. And then we formed our organization, United Pastors, which really was an accountability group, just so we could talk about our wounds and take care of our children. We wanted to. We didn't. I never wanted to get to the finish line and have my family not be with me. And I saw ministry destroy families.
Yeah.
And that was just some of that's to the credit, the strength of your mother, and then all of y'all accepting Christ and then walking with Him. But that was always a challenge for me. Is that pastoring sometimes causes some things to happen that are challenging.
Right.
And then I learned, and that's when I began to explore the concept of a mature leader, because a mature leader has to be sacrificial enough, not for one or the other, but for both, but always has to put family over ministry.
When you say sacrificial over both, what you mean?
There's no way you can serve without making sacrifices.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so your family will be called to certain sacrifices. Mm-hmm. As a result of your position and being in ministry. And now, I didn't follow none of the traditional crap.
What's that?
I got to act a certain way and do a certain kind of a thing. No. Now, I wasn't out being no fool or no idiot, but I guess the religious trappings, some of the protocols and those kind of things, I didn't shield you guys at all, and your sisters more so than you and Derek. I didn't shield you guys at all, but I didn't realize how much they were involved, because they were always with us. By the time y'all came along, y'all got a break because they were old enough for y'all to be with them.
Yeah.
You know, so they had it rough early on.
No, I think that's one of the benefits of my position. Is like, you know, I wasn't there. I wasn't at church every day. Like, I wasn't. And, you know, I was involved. I experienced a lot of things, but a lot of the trauma that a lot of preachers' kids experience at a young age, I didn't have that because, once I became of a certain age, I mainly was playing sports all the time. And that was the majority of my life. So I was out experiencing all this other stuff. But I mean, the foundation was being laid. But it wasn't to the point where it was like, oh, man, I'm sick of this. Like, I never had that experience. And honestly, though, growing up, that's where we wanted, you come to church and you see all your friends. You got school friends, then you got church friends, all these people that you get to hang out with. So it was never really like that. But I think I grew up, I mean, obviously it was by God's design. I think I grew up just with the right amount of everything for me to,
Well, I mean, that was the benefit of being who we were, because you always had your friends and they were at the house. Derek always has his friends and they were at the house, know. And and we weren't, that wasn't intentional. It was just, y'all were all cool. And then Andre came along with us after his dad passed. So it's just, a lot of it wasn't, I mean, I could write about it now and it probably would help somebody. Or talk about it now and it would help somebody. But most of it wasn't really intentional other than just being like my father. I want my kids around me. I want them near me. And I want them to enjoy their life.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. But so, this mature leader has to be the person in the room so that no matter what happens, God can have a voice and it can be God's voice and not just the voice of an experienced leader.
Yeah.
Because it's still a difference.
Right.
When God speaks, it's so different.
Yeah.
And so for years I would be in rooms and wouldn't say anything unless I really sensed the Holy Spirit wanted me to say it. And then there was periods of times when I felt obligated because people begin to look to you.
Yeah.
And that's when I began to get more pressure. When it was like almost as if to say, okay, what do you have to say?
Right.
And so, I grew into that part of the responsibility. So it meant I had to study more. I had to watch the news. I had to be aware of current events, which my pastor always taught me that. Had to pay attention to public policy, all of those things. And so that's, became a large part of my public ministry because of the fact that I felt like if I couldn't make a difference for people, who am I to say to them, here's my God?
Right.
Because I just believe that God's going to make a difference in people's lives.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So shifting gears to, I guess, current events. It's a lot on the table right now with this transition of power, so to speak. But
you mean the orderly transition of power? Sound like those buildings.
No, I'll be honest though. Like, it seems like, and maybe it's just me. Maybe it's the little bubble I live in. The mood has shifted, which is a good thing. The morale, the all of that sort of a thing has automatically shifted, and that alone is huge. Now, obviously there's still work to do. Obviously there's some other things that need to be reflected. There's some things that need to be put in place. We still got coronavirus, economy, all of that sort of a thing. But the mood alone has already shifted, and that's powerful.
Well, it's like the old song people used to sing in the church. Burdens down, Lord, burdens down. And that's, people were dancing in the streets. So that's how they felt. I know everybody doesn't relate to that, but it's just all I heard from people is that, man, can I just, and this is not me, okay? This is not C.J. Matthews, okay? But some people just say, Biden ain't got to do nothing. Just don't tweet. Just can we have normal? And I'm like, well, we don't want normal, okay? We don't want normal. Take your butt in there on the first day and do what this boy did. Do exactly what he did. Go in there on the first day and forgive student loan debt. Transfer some wealth. He went in the first few, as soon as he got there, he transferred major wealth. Transfer some wealth. Either you're going to win in 4 years or somebody going to lose in 4 years. Do what you got to do now.
Yeah, do what you got to do now. I mean, like, this student loan conversation, that alone, that'll have you down in history from a presidential standpoint, because that is literally a major transfer of wealth. And I know a lot of conservatives and a lot of maybe conservative economists have all of these thoughts and these ideas about what it will and won't do. But that alone, you talk about a stimulus, that will stimulate.
It don't need to be a stimulus. Yes, it will. But shut up. They didn't say one doggone word when he forgave billionaires of taxes. Yeah, so shut up now.
100%.
Shut up. Shut up.
It's like it really just speaks to the heart.
No. Come in. There's one thing he can do.
Yeah.
And he don't need them. He don't need McConnell and the boys.
No, that's what I say.
All
and
right?
10,000 ain't enough.
No, it's not enough. It's not enough. It makes no sense. Make a dent. I don't care what they say. And all those folk hating on Obama don't know nothing about politics. But he gave us the Affordable Care Act.
Mm-hmm.
They've been trying to unravel it ever since he did it. They demonized it from day one because they knew they could turn it into a political football, which is why when they got ready to try to get rid of it in 18, they grandfathered all of their people into it.
Right.
Because they know it's the best thing out there.
Now,
it needs to be massaged because every state fooled around with it. Could have did more or less or whatever, but this ain't about blue and red. It's about red when people are dying.
Yeah, 100%.
And the ignorance and the folly and the foolishness of this country as it relates to affordable health care, this has nothing to do with being what they say we are, socialists.
Communist.
No, we're not. We are a republic
of
50 federated states with a democratic form of elections.
Right.
And if we provided health care for all of our citizens, we wouldn't be socialists, we would be Christians.
Or we would just be, it would be 2020. We wouldn't, like so many of the things that beyond infrastructure and just resources, there are so many things about the way that we do business that put us in the category with like third world countries and that sort of a thing. I mean, like that's just like decency in my opinion.
It is decency, but to me it's Christ-like.
Yeah, I'm saying that's my thing. Whether they Christians or not, that's just deep. That's just common. Like I want to. It's 2020.
No, I'm trying to make this a Christian nation.
Oh, yeah.
Now we left Europe, England, because we didn't want state religion. And now every 4 years we try to turn this country into a Christian nation. Baloney.
Oh, 100%. We already know that.
Hypocrisy.
I think that yeah, man, like you said, go ahead and do it. Don't wait on them. Issue that executive order. And
Well, he's going to try to navigate, if they don't win those 2 seats in Georgia, he's going to try to navigate through all of the crap. And he may be able to do some navigation because you do have some moderates in the Senate, and he was in the Senate for 3 decades almost.
Right.
And he was a vice president, which worked with the Senate, But I just don't see those mean-spirited folk doing anything that would help people.
Yeah, that'd be significant. Like we've been saying, we had an episode called "Wealth Transfer," and that's a wealth transfer right there.
It's a wealth transfer for all people. Because wealthy people have student debt, doctors, lawyers, whatever. And then just regular people who have tried to go to school and education is so unaffordable in this country. I like his idea about state schools being free if people make a certain amount, don't make a certain amount of money, which is great. those are good things. But that day one transfer of wealth ain't about no starting to get no taxes from no rich people again, because that ain't going to affect us to the same degree.
Right.
It will help the imploded budget, which once again, all our conservative fiscal people, shut up. You haven't said a word in 3.5 years. Shut up. Shut up. Okay? Haven't said anything.
Yeah.
And now they want to all of a sudden start crying about fiscal responsibility and conservative fiscalism. Shut up.
Yeah. So I was recently reading about another, I don't know, what would you call it, a piece of legislation? What would you call that legislation?
The Moores Act.
The Moore Act, which they're set to vote on, I believe, this week. But the Moore Act is basically the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act.
I don't need expungement. I would like to make an investment.
Oh man! So, I mean, we've talked about this many times off camera. I guess now we could talk about it here. But man, I think this is really powerful. I've only read about it briefly, but I think that things are moving in the right direction. But it's only, I guess I continue to talk about what's right, but it's only right for certain things to happen. It's like if you have eyes, ears, and a conscience, it's like it only makes sense.
Right. Well, see, I've been one of the ones for years who has been on the side of decriminalizing marijuana. And then after the opiate crises, which has affected all cultures,
Mm-hmm.
I really became more in support of decriminalizing marijuana, because I saw how they all of a sudden changed the tone in this country when they locked us up for and gave us felonies for not crack pipe residue.
Right.
All right. And then a highly more scheduled drug
Mm-hmm.
became something that we needed to have treatment for.
Right.
Because the dynamics of the culture changed, meaning that the ethnicity was different.
Yeah, they shifted them from criminals to victims.
Right. And billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Billions of dollars. Same way they had back in the day when cocaine was, crack cocaine was 10 times, 100 times, depending upon the amount, more criminal than powder cocaine, which was the substance to make the crack cocaine.
Right.
That's racism. And for all y'all don't understand and know what racism is, that's racism. So I've always been for the decriminalization of marijuana. Not because I want to smoke it myself, because if I did want to smoke it, I would smoke it right now in front of y'all. I wouldn't hide and smoke it, okay? Like, never mind. Hypocrites. I ain't no hypocrite. If I want to smoke dope, I'll smoke it. If I want to drink whiskey, I'll drink it. I don't do any of those things. I got 40 years, thank God. But at the end of the day, it's not about hypocrisy. It's about what's right. And unfortunately, in this country, when it comes to racial attacks on black people, we have to be real smart. And the decriminalization of marijuana is something we got to work for.
Yeah, 100%.
And then the investment part, why? I looked at a documentary, Smoking and Black and Smoking. It's a documentary. Look at it.
Was it on Netflix?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It might have been on H. I don't know. I just saw the thing. It said Smoking and Black. Yeah. You know, but it's talking about Colorado, talking about California, and the movements there to be more inclusive of the minority community in the big game. The big game out there is they're making millions of dollars off of cannabis.
Oh, Smoke. Marijuana in Black America?
Yeah.
It was on BET.
Yeah, okay. All right, yeah, I watched it. It was very enlightening. And there was some people on there who are real advocates, too. And it was just nice to hear what they had. And I'm like, I'm in Ohio. You know, now they did medical marijuana 2 years ago, so right. Usually recreational follows, but it's hypocrisy. It's
a hypocrisy. And I was just talking about this, and we've talked about this before, but, you know, even when you look at, like, the NFL, you know, their biggest sponsor is, like, probably Budweiser or something like that. But then it's like, we're promoting this, but now you're in trouble. You can't play. You're getting fined for this. And all research shows what's the difference? As a matter of fact, this alcohol, beer relates to more deaths and that sort of thing, like by far. So it's like it's hypocritical in so many ways.
Well, again, clergy put themselves in so many boxes, and I guess that's where I've been different. All of my ministry is that I represent God, but I represent God to a group of people. Now, our ministry is to reach the world for Christ, one house, one family at a time.
Right.
And we're doing that. Hallelujah. Always done it. So when I go out to look at what's afflicting black people specifically, then I develop things to, okay, how do we affect this thing? All right, Fugitive Safe Surrender is a good example. It's up and running again, and we're, got a hotline so people can call in and call the hotline and maybe and take the first step toward a second chance.
Right.
Makes a difference. 75,000 people. So, some fights are our fights. Voter suppression is one of our fights. Look what they're trying to do in Georgia now with the mail-in vote. Well, that's coming everywhere. Everywhere there's a Trump idea, that stuff is going to come. All right, we made great headways on getting access to voting, and we got to fight. We got to fight for economy. We got to have an economic agenda, an economic plan, and it's got to be separate from elected officials because they're going to have to run every 2, 4, 6 years, and they're putting their life on the line every time they run. They got to do what they have to do, and we should hold them accountable, but our agenda should not be tied to them. It should not be tied to a party. It should not be tied to an elected official. It should be tied, first of all, to the more challenging needs, and then to the long-term vision of health for our community.
Yeah, I agree.
The Moore's Act would be a step in the right direction because if you decriminalize it at the federal level, that's a game changer.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a game changer. And if you begin to talk about investment and then expungement, oh, man.
Yeah, because, it's just certain facts about it. It's like people is out here making billions of dollars off the same thing that not only did I go to jail for an extended period of time, but I now have a felony to the point where I can't get certain opportunities. And it's like this is the world we're living in. Come on now.
Well, this country is good at it. They stole the number.
Oh yeah, man, we were just talking about that.
When I grew up, it was the numbers dude. Okay, it was all dudes. Okay, it was the numbers man came by. All right, the numbers guy, and everybody because he bought ice cream, whatever. But he was the numbers man.
Yeah.
All right, and then the state looked at that and they took it over, legalized it, and wiped out a whole industry in the African American community.
Right.
And same thing with marijuana. That's what they're doing now. As they legalize it strategically across the country, they're empowering certain groups to make the money.
100%.
And it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's tragic. It's unfortunate. So, but again, when you're clear about your agenda, you don't have to like the conservatives, but they're real clear. They don't waver. Abortion, fiscal conservatism, small government, except for when it comes to bailing out the wealthy. Which is why they can maintain a certain portion of their base. The Democrats' strength and weakness is their diversity, which is I would prefer diversity over some monolithic idea anyway. I just don't think that's where God is in this earth. I think when that thing comes, the unity that everybody keeps praying for, and that really pissed me off this time because everybody's crying about unity, but then y'all telling me to vote for a certain person who hates my people. Right. At least the actions manifested showed hatred toward my people.
Yeah. The words too.
Yeah. Words. But I always look at actions. I look at behaviors. I look at opportunities. All right, this Moore's Act, this has been around.
No, yeah.
Okay, all right. The John Lewis voter rights bill, been around.
Right.
All right. The bill for the police reform, it's been around.
Mm-hmm.
They sent a brother in with an alternative bill that don't have no skin.
Right.
All right. Senator out of South Carolina.
Yeah.
You know. And when your rhetoric is equal to their rhetoric, I ain't got no holler for you.
Mm.
All right. All right. Just say whatever I am when I go in the room,
Mm-hmm.
my rhetoric is going to be my rhetoric.
Right.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Because I'm real clear on who I am, and I'm real clear on what the issues are.
Right.
Now, I don't know all of the nuances like I used to because I'm just not into the places where I used to be.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's because of this pandemic. Just being able to get out and hear the streets. You know?
Yeah.
I hear when they come in here for funerals and things, but not just hearing some of the stuff I used to hear. Now, I read social media, and I'm starting to read that more. But I'm just not used to that being my source of information.
Yeah.
So I got to figure that out.
Yeah. It's been tricky right now to navigate.
Right. Yeah. So then I'm not the only one.
No, it's different. I mean, you have to adjust. We all adjusting and learning and growing at the same time. So.
Right. And I mean, that's the beauty of being alive right now is the opportunities that's set before us. You know, we can impact the behaviors that cause violence.
Yeah,
100%. We can. If we begin to rebuild our neighborhoods right now, physically, and really, really take some of the successful models in our educational system and distribute them to all of the kids. You know, again model, John Hay model, you know.
Mm-hmm.
This is just Cleveland I'm talking about now. I'm not talking about nationally anymore. We can make a significant difference, open up some serious digital opportunities,
mm-hmm.
you know, where we have some places where kids can come and really, really just be creative.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's just so much we can do right now. Is the one thing the pandemic has done is should have reminded black folk, black people, our people, is that we can survive under the most heinous conditions.
100%.
But the thing it should also challenge us to do is to say, why should we?
Why should we?
Why should we?
Right.
Because we have the ability to make the biggest difference for ourselves than anybody else.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it just has shown how creative we are and can be, and how oftentimes that some of the greatest things, some of the greatest innovations, some of the greatest expressions of creativity come out of, I guess, necessity, right? Like, we've had no choice we have had a choice, but based on our understanding and view of things, we've had to pivot and find different ways to do things, which may or may not ever, even though we've had the ideas, they may or may not ever taken shape and form unless we were in a position where we had to do it.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, the gift is to the person who actually can envision something, then put it on paper, or put it in a proposal, or put it in a thing, and then actually get it out into the marketplace.
Yeah.
You know, and that's power.
Mm-hmm.
That's power, because once you experience that and you learn how to do that, then you're never going to stop.
Right.
You're going to keep on taking the things that God shows you and gives you, your creativity, your genius, and you're going to constantly produce something.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, that's, and I think I said this a few episodes ago, you know, I'm not trying to be young.
Mm-hmm.
Just relevant.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 67. Trying to get to 68.
Yeah.
That's why I'm going to wear my mask and my gloves. And if you get too close, I'm going to punch you.
Right. That's what I was just thinking, like, it's so, you know, we've had this snow. And it wasn't, it was maybe a little uncommon, but we had this snowstorm. So I'm outside shoveling, putting salt down, doing whatever I'm doing. I'm outside in there, and I'm like, I'm bundled up. It's been time when I was younger. I may just throw a little jacket on. I'm like, I don't need no coat. I'm all right. It ain't that cold, you know. But now, no, I'm bundling up. Why? Because it only makes sense. It's like people talking about not wearing masks. Why would you not wear masks? You gonna wear a coat when it's 30 degrees outside, ain't you? Same thing.
Well, you know, and that's again, and I always reference my father. You know, it's just, you know, my dad didn't say a lot, you know, but the one thing he didn't tolerate:
foolishness, ignorance,
and stupidity.
Yeah.
And I could hear him now. If I walked out of the house without a mask on, he was just like, he would shake his head. You're not my son. And he had this "you not my son" look. Cause my son ain't that stupid. And I can see my dad now if I walked out of the house without a mask on. You know, and then your grandfather was born. Your grandfather was born the last pandemic. He was born in 1918. I'm sure he wasn't aware of it like Sir Charles isn't, but yeah, he would have that look on me. He never said it. It's just that was my own little brain, you know. It's that look he'd have, because it was like, you got to be the dumbest dude. You know, I would be doing something, you know, it made no sense, you know. And he wouldn't say that. He'd just give me that look, and I'd be like, man, I did it again.
Yeah. But you know, speaking of that snow, that was a little crazy because it wasn't that intense, and I don't know, I can't speak to nobody nowhere else in the country, but you know, we this Cleveland, so you know, we used to it, but it seemed like all of the surrounding cities and suburbs, they didn't care because the roads was crazy out and it was just terrible.
Unofficial stay-at-home order. They didn't want to say it.
No, they should have said it.
No, by their activity, it was not plowed anywhere.
No, but see, they should at least say something, because once you was in it, you was in it. There was no turning back.
Well, I gave this out last night at Bible study. I just told them, you know, my dad taught me 3 things. Number 1, slow down.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I'm like, where are they going? Next thing I know, zoop, zoop, zoop. All right, next thing is make sure you got good tires. If you don't have no good tires, you're going to be stuck, you're going to be slipping, you're going to be sliding.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the thing about it. It's like, Cleveland, how do we forget every time? Every time. Like I don't know, some people, I don't know how long you've been here, but many of us, we've been here the whole time. As long as you've been driving in this weather. But every year you forget what's going on. It's like the Men in Black. They hit us with the thing every time, and then everybody just forget what we got going on. But I mean, they was out there going crazy, and I'm like, man.
But it was, I mean, Tuesday was an unusual snow day. It was a big dump. Again, you know, like I said, I started out, your mom and I, we knew I wasn't getting on the highway. I wasn't going down those side streets. It took me a lot longer to arrive, but I knew because I went the exact way that I needed to go to arrive.
Power was going out and all of that. Our Wi-Fi went out, and I was like, man, well, thank God we got power. Our power didn't go out, but the Wi-Fi went down. And it was, oh, man.
Yeah,
so it was crazy.
Today is Jaden Jermaine's 18th
Yeah, man.
birthday.
Shout out to the twins, 18 years old.
18, that's incredible. Yeah, I get to fall off the wagon today. I mean, I love them. It's their birthday, but I get to eat whatever they eat.
Hey, yeah, that's a good excuse. Yeah. Shoot, I ain't on the wagon, so I ain't got no issues.
I already told Kimberly to give me 4 cupcakes. No, 2. Well, I don't remember.
No, that's really good though, man. 18 years old. That's
yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, and they're doing so well.
I'm trying to think. I don't even remember when I turned 18. What I doing when I turned 18?
I was on my.
I remember being 18, but I don't remember turning 18.
Me neither.
Anyway, the sports world has been in a frenzy.
Oh,
no, there's been a lot going on, and I guess we could start here. Unfortunately, you know, I looked on my ESPN app last night, and the game was over. Pittsburgh and Baltimore, and I was like, when did I miss it? I don't know what time it was at, but unfortunately, man, this Steelers is what 11-0 now. 11. Like we're having the season of my life, and in that season of my life, that the Browns are having, the Steelers is undefeated. That's just like the Steelers to be undefeated when we having a good year. But man, we got a shot.
We got a shot. Matter of fact, this year the parity in the league is such that, you know, our division is the strongest division in the league. Oh, yeah,
man. I was looking at the divisions just the other day, and I was like, man, you know, they need to – and is this true? Because I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were saying they added more teams to the playoffs. Is that true?
Yeah, I think so.
So I figure as long as we don't melt down these last few weeks, you know, we should be good. Now, by the traditional formula, Pittsburgh being the strongest they are this year, that puts us out. But, you know, I feel like we got a chance at least in the wild card.
No, we do have a chance in the wild card. Right now, we're number 5, I think.
Yeah, I was looking at it.
Yeah, I think we're number 5.
I was looking at these divisions like,
well, some people going to get in with some really bad records.
NFC East, they top 2 teams are 4-win teams. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's pretty good. The basketball trades, LeBron and Anthony Davis locked it down.
Oh man, this is what I want to ask you, because you know, and I haven't watched ESPN, so I don't know if anybody else is feeling about this, but them re-signing that, which I guess it's still finalizing, but AD going ahead and making that commitment to staying by signing that 5-year extension, that's huge. Obviously, LeBron, you know, he made up his mind that he was staying. That wasn't an issue, but he got paid, you know, which is good. But I was thinking about all of the different moves they was making, and people call this a super team. It's not a super team. Like, you got 2 superstars, but they are putting together a team. Oh, yeah. And what I've been thinking is, and maybe this is a hot take, and maybe nobody else will agree, I think that this team that they got right now, I think this is the best team that LeBron has ever been on. And I think it's not even close.
You know, I live in Cleveland.
No, I'm saying like.
But yeah, you're right. You're right. This team here, and a lot of people, you know, kind of dismissed Kyrie. But had we been able to keep Kyrie that next year, and him mature a little bit more.
Yeah, he didn't want to.
Yeah, I know.
So, you know,
I know. I'm just, you know, yeah, I know.
But you don't see, my only issue with that was you don't we traded him? Yeah, you don't.
We didn't have to.
Huh?
We didn't have to.
Or not the way we did. You don't trade the franchise player like that. That's your, like, okay, you know, LeBron was fickle. He was here. He had one purpose. He came back. We got the ring. But Kyrie, that's your future. That's the staple. You don't trade him. And if you do, you got to get something. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was awful. I guess they felt like their hands was tied. But man, you know, you got the will and deal. So we'll see. And I'm interested to see now what they do, Kyrie and KD, because there was a lot of chatter about Harden trying to go out there, but now that Russell and John Wall then swapped it out, I'm wondering what Harden's going to do. I haven't seen what anybody's been saying.
He's probably going to watch the postseason.
No, they'll be in the playoffs. They'll be in the playoffs. They just too good.
In the playoffs. I ain't about the playoffs. They gotta win a chip. They have had the opportunity for too many times. No, and he has had the opportunity too many times.
Yeah.
And KD left him, and then we got it.
None of these guys. This is the issue. None of these guys are held to the standard of LeBron, and they want to put him in the conversation, but they don't hold him to those same standards.
Right. Well, I mean, you know, when Jordan came along, because he was our nightmare, Cavs.
Yeah, 100%.
Good team during that time. When Jordan came along, it was just such a unique period and such an incredible season of his wins.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when LeBron came along, as a kid coming out of high school versus college, and that's the other thing people don't remember. I mean, he elevated the Cavs instantly I'm talking about a high school kid.
Yeah.
That's what he was.
Mm-hmm.
Came right into the league, just like Kobe. All right into the league and made a significant difference immediately.
Right.
You know, so we're going to always have our biases. I think the comparative arguments are always going to be superfluous because of the difference in the time periods in which athletes participate in their sport.
Right.
You know, but because we have to have the greatest of all time, then Mount Rushmore.
Right.
You know, and I think some of these younger guys who have a lot of talent probably haven't manifested or shown the staying power of
staying power. I mean, I'm saying
LeBron,
who has
Jordan, or Kareem, or Bill Russell. Magic and Bird went out a little differently. People don't remember that. Magic went out because of age. Bird went out because of the back injury.
Right.
You know, they had a good run, but it wasn't that elongated run.
No, you talk about staying power. That's the you hit it on the head right there. That's the next level, and that's like the ability to do it is one thing, and of course this is on the highest level. So you know,
right.
Well,
it's like, and I always say this to our young people and our people in school. All right, you know, everybody starts out in kindergarten,
mm-hmm.
and then you graduate from elementary school,
right?
And most of us can get through that,
right?
Some of us get left back a few times, but most of us can get through that.
Yeah.
Then we go to middle school, you know, and a few people fall off. You go to high school, a few more people fall off. But then that next college graduating group. So if you got 500 in the class of high school graduates,
that's a pretty big class.
Well, yeah, when I graduated, it was 700 and something. So
oh, really?
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
It was probably somewhere around like 400 or 500.
Yeah, so then you get to the 4-year degree. So what percentage? Then you go to get a master's. What percentage? So every time you go to that next level, a lot of people are falling by the wayside. Good people did good things.
Right.
Then that PhD level, poof.
Right.
Okay, so in sports, as you keep going, you know,
right.
It's how long can you do this?
Rare air.
Yeah, rare air. You know, so my joy is I get to see it.
Yeah, 100%.
And talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, matter of fact, we do the podcast, but I was thinking the other day, well, I'll do a sports show, just purely a sports show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
I gotta if we're gonna do that, I gotta make the investment because right now all I got is streaming. I don't even. I've been too cheap to. I cut the cord a long time ago. I guess I'll put it like that.
Well, you know, I mean, what the heck? I enjoy this. I enjoy it because of us being together, one. But I enjoy it because just to be able to share with our audience the things that we share, you know. And I like the idea that we can put our ideas out there.
Oh man, that's one of like my favorite things just about the time we live in. Like,
yeah, I like that. And I've always had access for the last 30-some years. I've always had a platform. I've always had an audience, television, radio, and I've done all of those things. And so now this is different, and I like it because I don't have to go nowhere. This is our studio.
Yeah, that too.
Our stuff. And I can turn it on and talk whenever I want to.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Everybody else is. No, I'm just saying. No.
24-hour news. Welcome to Kingdom, your 24-hour news state. No. All right, it's time to go out and do it.
All right, one last thing. So the Grammys happened recently. Or not the Grammys. The Grammy nominations happened recently. And the Soul Train Awards happened recently. And here's the conversation, or what I want to get your take on. Basically, you know, the Grammys historically have been political and, you know, racist in certain ways where, you know, they don't truly represent the mood or even they don't truly reflect what's truly the greatest thing, I guess is the best way to say. So a lot of people have been saying, well, you know, forget about the Grammys and, you know, that whole thing. But some have been saying, well, let's put all of our resources into, let's say, the Soul Train Awards, and let's really support that thing and, you know, bring out all of the brightest, all of the biggest stars and everybody, and really put our arms around that and truly celebrate ourselves in this thing.
Right. Yeah, and this is not a new argument.
Right. I'm sure.
Not at all.
The Grammys been Grammying. And it transcends that. It goes further beyond that.
All awards. And the first thing you have to value yourself, and you have to own your own thing. So to build something, whether it's the Soul Train Awards, and I guess BET has fallen off the radar screen because the same people don't own it anymore.
No, they sold it to Viacom.
Yeah, so I mean that's a major change, even though it's still some black leadership.
Mm-hmm.
But it probably should be both and, because of the value of that industry and what that means to that industry.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would have to be a person in that industry to say, no, we're going to take our football and come over here, and we're never coming over there again.
Right.
And so there will be some value. There would probably be great value in that.
Right.
But the world that most of the entertainers are trying to reach is not homogeneous.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they don't have that issue. See, their stuff goes out and they win, you know, and they'll even come and let some of them win over here in our stuff.
Right.
You know, so it's the pressure of racism.
Mm-hmm.
It's the pressure of industries that, you know, have grown and become a part of the fabric of who we are in those industries. You know, it used to be Ebony used to put out the top 100 or top 50 black preachers of the year stuff.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. You know, and so they used to, I'm pretty sure I remember that. They used to have that. That was really before my time. I think they do it recently. But there are publications we can be published in and things like that. So maybe we should start our own.
Yeah, maybe.
Probably thinking somebody like me would start something like that. You're so vain. You probably think it's about you.
Yeah.
No,
but I think it's a big deal, because it's just like and you know so it's just become the same thing over and over again. So some people saying stop looking to them, you know, for validation, and I get that, but like my whole thought process behind it, you know, for the past however many years, ever since I become, you know, I guess aware of it, is just like, I think I mentioned this to you before. It's just like when you look back in history, you're not gonna know what was going on, or they're not gonna know what was going on. But it's like certain things they can look to see, like, oh, this is what was happening, this is what was going on. So it's like the Grammys. So it's like if you look at the Grammys like 100 years from now, then they can say, oh, this is what was happening, this is what was happening, this is what was happening. And, you know, it's not an honest reflection of what's truly happening and what's truly like the stuff. And obviously that shouldn't be our concern. Maybe that shouldn't be my concern, but it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, hallelujah. Yeah, grapple with it. Go ahead.
Well, usually like I ain't gonna be here no way, so it don't matter. But I'm saying,
well, I'm not saying it like that because I might have 100 more in me. But what I am saying is those are the kind of things. So, see, because today for me, okay, I'm in a whole different world. Okay, because now that I'm beginning to understand this thing here, this is where I'm going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that I know people can have 50 million followers and 100 million followers. Oh, yes. I'm going to figure it out. Okay, so, but yeah, I mean, I think we should build our own. The fact that those brothers brought Soul Train back the way they have, you know, I almost had a chance to be on Soul Train back in the day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's really funny. They did the Black College tour. They came to our school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was track season also.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I don't remember if I was a quarterfinalist or what. But
hold on, you ran track in college?
Well, yeah. A little.
I'm just saying, like, and it goes beyond music. It goes beyond movies. Just in general, it's like just I feel like the opportunity that's before us right now, the leverage that we possess is unprecedented. Because it's like you go back to like the Negro Leagues, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, we had the talent. I mean, not to say that there wasn't talent in Major League Baseball. Like, I'm not that oblivious. You know what I'm saying? But we didn't necessarily have the leverage. Like, we didn't.
Oh no, it's changed dramatically. The leverage now is so powerful, and that's the fear. That's why there are people who want to call Black Lives Matter a terrorist organization. They see it coming. It's coming. All right, they see it coming. All right, they see it. They see the leverage of those athletes. You know, they saw the narrative change on the kneeling. I mean, just all of those things. You know, it's a new world. Yeah. And that's why the people who think we haven't made any progress don't really understand the progress we made, even though the battles are similar and the same.
Yeah.
You know, Mother Rosa Parks would need to sit down again, you know, in order for us to move some things forward.
Right.
You know, Malcolm would need to say by any means necessary again. And unfortunately, he said so much good stuff that we only quote that one thing.
Right.
All right. King would need to say, I have a dream again. You know, John Lewis would need to say good trouble again. I mean, everything that we've done, we got to consistently continue to do.
Yeah.
All right. Because we're the only people in this country. And I'll leave us on this note today. We're the only group in the United States of America that has two battles. Liberation, police kill us, and survival. Survival is the bootstrap crap that everybody comes to. But liberation, we're the only ones, because of the color of our skin, are treated the way we're treated.
Yeah.
So we have to fight for liberation. And every time we go to sleep on liberation, it's not that the LeBrons and the Tyler Perrys and the Venuses and Serenas and the young lady gymnast.
Biles.
Yeah, Simone Biles and on and on and on, and scientists and medical people. It's not that they're not there, okay? But the liberation has to occur so that at the end of the day, I'll be judged on the content of my character, not the color of my skin.
Yeah.
So liberation is and every time we go to sleep on liberation, that's why I've been excited about the Black Lives Matter movement, because they're fighting for liberation.
Right.
Okay, they're fighting for the big picture.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And so everybody may not agree with whatever, but at the end of the day, somebody has to be out there in the Revolutionary Army.
Yeah.
Okay, and in the past, you had powerful pastors who were activists. All right, they were not the same kind of shepherd. They loved their people, they served their church, but they served the broader community. Not in compassion ministry, giving people stuff. That's not liberation. Giving people stuff is not liberation. All right? Speaking truth to power and creating policy change and affecting governmental systems, that's activism.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can ride in with all the doggone food you want to, we're going to eat it. But that ain't liberation.
Yeah.
We're going to eat it. Especially if we're hungry.
It has to be empowerment.
Has to be empowerment.
Yeah.
All right. And therein lies the shortcomings of American Christianity and conservative Christianity, is they do nothing with us for empowerment. And which is why so many black pastors would be considered liberal, even though we preach Christ as much or more than anybody, is because our policy issues are real. Oppression is real.
Right.
The funding formula in the state of Ohio is real. It is creating an oppressive educational system based on school choice. So, all right, son.
Yeah.
Got some more work to do?
Yeah.
So we'll be back.
Yeah.
Hey, thank y'all for tuning in again today.
Yeah, 100%, man. You know, shout out to you if you just a first time listener, if you've been listening, watching. Shout out to you. Thanks for tuning in. We gonna keep putting the content together. Yeah, see you next time.
Bless you guys. Bless your families. Have a tremendous rest of the week.